Oh my god, this fight is so trivial on Beast Mastery. Oh, I don't care about any mechanic ever. Oh, yes, please. All of those casts interrupted on Boomkin. All of those swirlies dodged on survival. I don't give a f. Yes! Beast Mastery, the I don't give up spec. Woo! If you want to just start it off, just copy a build real quick. And once you're in the game, you go to import. You paste the build and then you give it a name or whatever, and that's the build. This is basically that build. So this is kind of how you start it off first. Okay, so we're good. Before we go on, I'll give you a couple of pointers into DM to start off. At least the basics. I do have 2 pets. Yes, you have this talent that gives you 2 pets. Animal Companion, your call pet, additionally summons your first pet from your stable. So you can tame multiple pets. And the ones that you tame extra go to your stable. Your stable is... You can visit a stable master, which is an NPC in town, or a call pet, right? These are the pets that I have. But likely, if you want a specific one, you can put it into the stable. I like bears, so I put a bear there. This is my main pet. I would recommend holding up a cat or a wolf or whatever pet gives you the bloodlust ability. Since you're new to WoW, bloodlust ability is basically primal rage. Is this one, right? It's ferocity ability. If you go to your pet, right, you'll have all of its abilities. You don't really care about anything really, except for this, the ferocity ability, which is primal rage. For other pet families, it changes into a different ability, but this is the main one. This is, you can use it every 10 minutes because it debuffs you and it gives you 30% haste, which is massive. So if you want to pick up BM real quick, let's say you already have a build snagged from an online guide, or maybe you're looking at logs and you have a build, or you can just use this one. Either way, if you've never played BM before, it's fairly simple. There's a couple of main things that you want to keep in mind of. Before we go into the actual combat, what's important is that you have a baseline spell called Barbed Shot, which is this thing. It's one of the first things that you get. It's Barbed Shot. When you fire this out, you put a bleed on a target, and your pet gains a bonus stack of 30% of extra attack speed. Your pets are very important for Beast Mastery because they do a lot of damage. And this can stack up to 3 times. Ideally, you want this all the way stacked to 3 times. You only have 2 Barbed Shots, though. The thing is, if it's stacked to 3 times and then you shoot it again, it refreshes the buff, so it doesn't let the buff drop off, so that you can keep that buff up on your pet for as long as possible. That's the main mechanic of Beast Mastery. Now, the way this works is you shoot it, and every now and again, especially if you have this talent, you have a chance to reset your Barb Shot so you can shoot it again, even though it might still need time to cool off. Right, so that's kind of how you can maintain the buff 3 times, even though you have only 2 spells, right? You can keep resetting it. That's the main thing that you want to do. The best way to track this is either to have personal resource display, which shows your little health bar and the buff on your screen, so you can see when it's about to drop off, you fire a Barb Shot. When it's about to drop off, you fire a Barb Shot. If not, you can simply get a weak Aura. I recommend Luxtos' weak auras. You can find them on luxtos.com. He has a website. You can find them for all classes. You'll get the Hunter one, which is this one. This basically has all of the abilities for Hunter that you want to track. You're not going to have all of these, by the way. You're just going to have a couple that you need. So the most important thing is to keep track of frenzy, and I'll show you how that looks in combat. Outside of that, you have a couple of cooldowns. Your main cooldown, DPS cooldown, that just gives you a lot of damage, is it gives you a lot of damage. It's your main one. It's Bestial Wrath. It's this one. What that does is just increases the damage that I think you and your pet both do. Does a bunch of damage, increasing all damage you both deal by 25%. Yes, you and your pet deal 25% more damage. And it lasts for 15 seconds. Now, the thing is, every time you shoot a Barb Shot out, you shave about, 15 seconds off of its cooldown? So you keep reducing it. So the more Barb Shots you shoot out, the more Bestial Wraths you can use, which is good because there's more damage. So we can do this, right? Shoot out the Barb Shots and pop the Bestial Wrath. And that's basically what you do. And look, this is the Barb Shot right now. You can see it. It resets. These are the stacks, right? This is how long it lasts for. You see that ticker there, right? I want to refresh it just before it expires, but since I'm resetting my Barb Shot so often, I'm just using Barb Shot anyway, even though there's still plenty of time left, because I don't want to over-generate. So that's like the main thing that you want to do for Beast Mastery. Then you just use your cooldowns whenever they're available, and that's fine. In AoE, you have one extra thing that you'll do, which is with Beast Cleave, this ability, and multi-shot. When you multi-shot a target like this, your pet will do AoE damage to everything. Like if you see right now, the numbers are on all of the screen, because my pet just hits everything right now. That's what you want to do. So Beast Cleave, this buff lets your pet do AoE damage to everything, but it doesn't last for very long. It lasts for 6 seconds, right? So every now and again, you want to shoot out a multi-shot just to reactivate this buff. You see it on the screen right there, right? You can also shoot one of these wailing arrows. And every now and again, you might drop Frenzy, which is the buff that I told you that you need to maintain. But that's fine. You just get used to it. Plus, when you pop Bestial Wrath, you gain 2 stacks of Barb Shot anyway. So this is kind of the main idea of Beast Mastery. You want your pets to deal as much damage as possible. And when you're fighting AoE, you activate their Beast Cleave so that they hit everything around them. It sounds more complicated than it actually is. All you do is just press your multi-shot ability, which is this ability right here. And it will do AoE, and that's it. That's all you have to do. The rest of your rotation is pretty much the same. Whenever a cooldown becomes available, like Bestial Wrath, Death Chakram, stuff like that, you just press it, and that's it. Another thing that can make the spec have a little bit more depth is Kill Command. Kill Command is my number 2 ability there, which is probably the hardest hitting ability instantly that you can shoot out. And it also functions really well with certain builds, because you have a build, like what you see right now, this is nothing, but you have a build that can just summon pets constantly. And for that, you use Kill Command a lot. But that's usually like a raid build. It's not that amazing for dungeons. I don't know if any of this is making any sense. There's another thing for Beast Mastery in single target, where you want to use as many Kill Commands as possible. And in order to do that, you have to also use Cobra Shot. Cobra Shot is the single target ability. It's just a filler ability. The only thing that it does is does a little bit of damage, consumes your focus, but also reduces the cooldown of your kill command by like 1 second per cast. So you can optimize that as well. Like, look, it's 5 seconds now. If I press it, it shaves off like a second every time. So you kind of like want to weave kill commands with Cobra Shots as often as you can, while keeping up Frenzy, while popping off your cooldowns. Why not capping on focus and using all the other abilities? So it's not like super hard, but it adds up eventually, especially if you want to play it optimally. But to begin with, you don't need to worry about all of that if you're playing Beast Mastery for the first time. Just make sure that you keep your Frenzy up as much as possible, and use multi-shot or Cobra Shot and Kill Command to consume your focus. Focus is your resource. You're kind of like mana. You don't have mana, but you do have the resource. Once you understand the rotation, like another thing that you can do when you fight more than one target is whenever you're using Barb Shot to refresh your friends, you don't have to do it on the same target. You can target a different enemy and put the Barb Shot bleed on a different enemy, because the bleed itself doesn't stack. The bleed, like that bleed that the target has, right? If I switch to something else and I put the bleed there as well, although this doesn't bleed. You can bleed this guy. Try here. Activate Beast Cleave. Bleed this guy too. Go back on this guy. Put a bleed there as well. And so on. The cool part about BM and why it's a good spec to start playing WoW with is because you can pretty much do everything as you move. Your entire rotation can be cast as you move. No other class and spec can do this. It helps you get used to the mechanics, being able to dodge stuff. You're not restricted. Oh my god, I could have target swapped the bleeds this entire time and I didn't. Oh, would have had so much more damage. You're gonna see people struggling to deal damage and you're just like, hey, bye. Hey, bye, let's go. And that's basically Beast Mastery.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.